Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this video and I hope you're having an amazing day so far. In this training session, we'll be going over invoicing and I'll guide you through everything you need to know on how to get started, from creating a new invoice, adding items, applying taxes, tracking payments, and keeping your records organized. We'll also look at special cases like progress billing, service tickets, and what to do about overpayments and vendor credits. So, to get things started, let's head over to our menu and under Financials, go to Invoices. Now once here, if you used other modules within Contractor Foreman, you'll notice that it's very similar to the other ones. If you scroll down, you'll see a list of some of the existing invoices that you have. And if you're looking for a certain invoice, you can head to the top left and look for it, or filter using our filter button and filter via due date, projects, customer, status, and record status. In addition, we also have a card view available, which is a Kanban style view for you to take a look at all your existing invoices so far. If you prefer this view, you can head over to Set as Default View and set this as your main one. If you prefer the other one, you can go back here and click on Return to Dashboard. At the top right, there's also some buttons you might be familiar with. The first one is a watch a how-to video, which is likely how you got to this video in the first place. In addition to the video, we also have a number of different articles in our knowledge base which I'd highly recommend for you to check out to learn more about invoicing. We also have a Suggest a New Feature button. With this button, you can submit an idea, an improvement idea, or whatever else you'd like for invoicing and let us know. At Contractor Foreman, we're always updating and we're always responding to our clients' needs and updating to make the system more intuitive and more familiar for them. If there's any suggestion that you have, feel free to drop us a note here. We're always monitoring this inbox and we're happy to check out your feedback. And lastly is the module settings. If you'd like to add custom fields or customize a few different options, for example, markup defaults, items on how the numbering for the invoices should go, feel free to check out the module settings over here. Let's work on a sample invoice together. Let's head over to the top right-hand corner and click on plus invoice. From here, there's a few different fields that we need to fill out. Please note, any item that has an asterisk beside it has to be filled out for us to proceed forward. For this example, we'll go ahead and choose one of our existing projects. I'll choose my Whitestone Plaza tenant build-out, and as you can see, the customer is automatically pulled from whoever the customer is for this specific project. We can select terms and dictate when we want this invoice to be paid. If none of these options work for you, you can type it out, and for this example, I'll click on net 30. The invoice date is automatically populated to today's date, and the invoice number will automatically be generated after I create the invoice. If you'd like to manually generate the invoice number, head back to module settings which I showed previously and change it to manual. With all that done, we'll go ahead and click on Create Invoice. Awesome. Now that we have our invoice, there's a few different things to take a look at. On the left-hand side under Details, we can change a few things. If we want to invoice this invoice to somebody who not the customer, we can add them here. If we want to put who this invoice has already been approved by, whether internally or externally, we can add a contact here. And if we want to add an application number to this invoice, we can do so here. In addition, we can write out a brief detail about this invoice. For this example, I'll put invoice for month of August. And we can also, on the right-hand side, change a few information details about the terms. As you can see, the due date and terms is being pulled from our previous entries, and we can also assign the period start and the period end date. For this example, I want this to start next Monday on September 15th. The retainage percentage, or the holdback, is also automatically generated and pulled in from the project details. If you'd like to change the retainage for this invoice, please feel free to check out our projects and financials training video where we go over retainage and how to customize it. On the left-hand side, you can head over to Items, and this is where the bulk of your invoice is going to be. Here you can add in your items that you'd like to present for this invoice and the actual items that you're trying to bill the customer. There's a few different ways to do it. If you head over to the right-hand side and click on Add Item to Invoice, you'll notice there's a few different options that are available to you. You can import from your cost item database, import from your schedule of values, import from your approved estimate, add a manual invoice item, or add a discount, add retainage if the project is complete or there's another contract stipulation, or add time and material if needed. For this example, we'll go ahead and play around with a few different options. First, because we're starting off this project and we've completed demolition, we'll go ahead and import from our schedule of values. As you can see, I have demolition over here at the top, and I'll go ahead and click on it and hit save and close. Once here, my demolition line item will generate from my schedule of values and be imported into my invoice here. I also want to charge for a 2-hour service, an additional 2-hour service call that I did for the client. And I already have that in my cost item database because that's a standard service I provide. So I'll go ahead and click on import from cost item database, head over to labor on the left-hand side, and select my 2-hour service call. And as you can see, it generates under lump sum items my 2-hour service call as needed. I'll go ahead and change the quantity to 1, and I can invoice this to the client. Lastly, I also want to charge for the startup fees that I did for the porta potty. So I had that, and I had that in my estimate. So I'll go ahead and click on, again, add item to invoice, import from estimate, and choose my approved estimate. And at the bottom, job site portable toilet and weekly service for 3 months, I'll go ahead and import it from here. So now I have 3 line items, one from my cost item database, one from my schedule of values, and one from my estimate items. And I can now bill this all to my client. There's 2 things I want to highlight before we move forward. One of them is regards to our schedule of values and for our customers who are looking for progress billing. After you've imported a line item from your schedule of values, you can head over to invoice percentage and change the percentage on a specific line item. For example, if my demolition is closer to 90%, I'll go ahead and change it, and the invoice percentage / remain percentage changes to 90/10. Afterwards, next time that I'm pulling in from my SOV and looking for demolition, it'll show that there's 10% left on this line item. This will help you keep track from invoice to invoice how much of the progress billing you're doing for each line item towards your client. The second item I want to go over again is the retainage withheld, which is highlighted in yellow. Like I mentioned earlier, this client is holding back 5% of the overall invoice, which will be paid at the end of the project or a different contractual obligation has been met. The reason that it's 5% is because that's what I set it up as in the project details when I set up the project. If you have questions about that, feel free to check out our project training video where we go over it. I also have my state tax applied to the overall invoice. If you want to change the tax or add a separate tax, head over to the menu on the top, and on the far right, click on Settings. Once here, you can click on Financial, scroll all the way down, and you can see your existing tax rate. You can edit it by clicking on the green Edit button, or add a new tax rate depending on your need. I'll go ahead and close this and head back to my invoice. Now, there's a few more tabs I want to show on the left-hand side. The first is the Terms tab. This is where you can add custom text and terms and conditions that should appear on the invoice. These could include late payment rules, special instructions, or anything you want your customer to see in writing. We also have a Payments tab. This is where you track payments made towards the invoice. Every time you post a payment, it will appear here, giving you a clear record of how much has been paid and what balance remains. We also have a Files tab. You can attach supporting documents such as receipts, delivery confirmations, or proof of work completed. Keeping these attached makes it easier for your customer to process the invoice and for you to stay organized. And lastly is the Notes tab. The Notes tab can be used for internal notes or reminders that your team might need. These don't have to be shared with the client. Once your invoice is ready to go, you can go ahead to the bottom left and click on Submit to Client. From here, you can use one of our existing templates that we have, including with details, lump sum, or AIA G702 if needed. For this example, I'll click on Invoice with Details, And from there, you can either email it directly to your client or download it as a PDF and send it over to them. And that's it. For our customers who primarily deal with service tickets or have service tickets, there's also an efficient way to create invoices directly from service tickets. As an example, let's head over to our menu and go to service tickets. And let's click on a service ticket that we recently completed. As you can see, we've completed this ticket and it's ready to be invoiced. I'll head over to the top right hand corner, click on More, and click on Create/Modify Invoice. From there, I have a new invoice ready to be billed towards the customer with all the description that I put in for my service ticket. And as soon as I'm ready to go, I can go ahead and click on Submit to Client. One last piece of advice I want to give is that if you want to see all the invoices that you've created for your client so far and what's outstanding, what's been paid, etc., and filter by customer, you can go ahead and click on where the customer name shows up, click on Open the Contact Detail. From here, it'll take you to the directory module within Contractor Foreman. On the left-hand side, if you scroll over to Documents, you can see all the estimates and, more importantly, all the invoices that you've sent over to the client so far. This will give you a high-level overview of exactly what's been sent over to the client, what's outstanding, and what the current status is with respect to their invoices, and give you a quick snapshot for you to review. The last thing I want to share before we close out is something for vendor credits and overpayments. At the moment, Contractor Foreman does not track customer or vendor credits. That means if a payment comes in for more than the invoice amount, the extra amount won't automatically be held as a credit in the system. If you're using QuickBooks Online, overpayments can be managed there and stored as credits. But in Contractor Foreman, you'll need to handle this manually when reconciling. Just keep this in mind that QuickBooks may reject a sync if the payment amounts don't match exactly. And that's pretty much all you need to know to get started with the Invoices module. You've learned how to create an invoice, add items, apply taxes, manage payments, create progress billings, generate invoices from service tickets, and even how to handle invoices and overpayments. These steps cover the basics that you'll use often, giving you the confidence to keep your billing accurate, consistent, and professional. If you need help or have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us by the live chat or send us an email at support@contractorforeman.com. And if you'd like to have any more in-depth training, make sure to book a session on our training page. Thanks for watching and see you in another video.